I'm Crispy and this is part 2 of my TDI cylinder head rebuild. And in this episode we're going to put the valves back in, put the springs, spring tops, collets back all together. This is the second part of a 4-part cylinder head rebuild. First part obviously stripping the cylinder head. Second one, this one, is going to be rebuilding the cylinder head. Third episode is just cleaning out inlet manifolds and dealing with a seized turbo, as a lot of you may be dealing with a TDI with an EGR valve on there. So a lot of soot and grime gets built up in the inlet track, so it's really important to clean that if you go into the extent of rebuilding the cylinder head. Everything must be spotless and really clean if you want ultimate miles per gallon and you want a good reliable build. So if you've not seen episode 1, I'm using a mixture of footage from 2 different builds. So T5 build, which I'm in now, and also my VW Corrado TDI conversion. So let's go and get those valves back in. Inlet and exhaust gaskets. I think that's either going to be the O-ring that goes on the side of the housing, which I think I've got, or that may even be a thermostat O-ring, looking at the size of it. For the fuel pump at the side, it's always worthy to have an exhaust gasket, because they presume you're going to take the exhaust off when you get the head off, which of course you do. So put all those in safe and chuck them out the way. From here where I come, we'll find them. Straight in the bin. So, you have to see they're a little bit more in one piece than the old ones that came off. That's where having a tool that actually grabs underneath that little lip is really good. Not unless you're doing heads all the time, is it worth doing. Then we've got these little plastic tubes, which we're not going to need now, because that's only if you're doing it over the valves while they're still installed, because you can in theory replace these without taking the head off. Again, a little bit more of a specialist job. I wouldn't advise doing unless you know what you're doing. Now there are special tools to get those on. Let's see if I can find my special tool that goes perfectly over that. 10mm 12 pointed socket, fits perfect, just catches on the ridge. We pop it into position. These are rubberized at the top with a little spring clip. It's the rubber on the top that goes hard, a little spring clip to just help it compressed. Let's just pop it into position. I'm going to pop them all just on the top, and then if you've actually took yours off, you'll know how hard they are to come off. Twist that on nicely. And you hear it change tone when it bottoms out. Before we put the springs in, we need to put all the valves back in the same order that we had them earlier. You will find a little bit more resistance putting these in. Because they've now got a rubber collet on it. compression. Big spring, small spring, quite normal nowadays. Just changes the rebound rate. Keep everything in order, because the two springs got different rates of compression. Yeah, because I'm going to be redlining this one. The top's also been through the parts washer. I took them out my clean cloth, and they sit nicely on top of each one of those. I'll show you one of those. So you've got the spring, two sets of spring, valve. It's one of the used valves, and this is what a collet actually looks like. You can see how the three lines tally up with the three in there, so that essentially sits just like that. How it sits, stops that from coming off. So if we see that in action, so let's have it. Two springs, top bit, and then they would sit in there. You could quite easily get it on and see it would, that wouldn't be flat. The valve just sits a little bit proud. That then bottoms up at that, and that's what keeps that in, nothing more, which is the weight of the spring. Two springs compressed on there. And that's why that bit sits on the top, that just goes in there. And there's your hydraulic tappet to try and keep the distance between the cam and the top of the valve within a certain tolerance. A little bit of old grease, that never seems to be useful. Put it on the end of there. Pick up one of your collets. They are actually top and a bottom. It wedges in on the bag stuff. Push that down. Push that on. Push that down. See that marries up like that. Absolute key that this is spotless. Loads of brake cleaner just to give it. I'm using 180 grit. I'll change that to a new one in a minute. Give it a clean down. We're pretty much there. See how the difference there? Beautiful. I'm happy that that's clean enough. I just went over here with wire wheels on there, a little bit into the bowl. So that cylinder head's ready to go back on. If you like some of this content, remember to subscribe, share and like. The like is the most important one. And if you didn't like it, dislike it and tell me why. And in the next episode of this mini series, we're going to be dealing with the seize union on the oil feed line to the turbo and cleaning up the inlets using a very unconventional method, which may be frowned on by quite a few people, but it's enjoyable. Thanks for watching. Remember to share, like and subscribe. Ta-da!